I'll go first. I'll make it quick. I'll make it easy. My God, I would not recommend this to my worst enemy. Let him, nah, I'm sorry. This would be real torture, like in the movie. And with the red screen, like, oh my God, what the hell's going on? And the stupid music. Please, people,
Hey.
peeps, fans, do not watch this movie. I highly disregard, abort. Do not watch.
With your best friends Trey, Sterling, and Matt, the Film Schmucks.
I almost turned that off, bro. Let's jump into this, boy.
Let's get
Sterling,
into
your
it. We're
choice, you
going.
go
We're
first.
recording. Sterling, hit it and quit it, baby.
Sterling's choice, Sterling's body, Sterling's choice. Sterling, go first.
What a way to start the app. We're not going to be able to advertise this one.
So we're live.
We're good. We're recording.
Where have you been, Sterling? Go.
I've been here, buddy. Anyway, yeah, this film's interesting, and I know that's kind of a vague term, but like,
It's a vague movie.
it's a really uncomfortable movie to watch for sure. But I like watching movies like this sometimes because it really kind of challenges a lot of what I've grown up watching as far as like more modern filmmaking. And so it definitely challenges kind of that preconceived notion that I have when I watch movies. I think the film is really well made. I just think there were some very, very uncomfortable sequences for sure, and some confusion. But I think overall I liked it, but I didn't quite love it. So
I feel like Trey's gonna have an opposite, so I'll go second. But I think I've been known in the reviews to be pretty positive. Usually I try to find and really squeeze out the juice from anything we're watching and really try to enjoy it. I will say this. I was actually really biased in this movie because I watched the first like 20, 30 minutes of it before. I watched up. I remember I said I think I watched it, but I couldn't remember. I watched up to the point when he gets convicted and he's stripping down in the prison. And I think it was really late or something. I just never ended up watching the rest. Not for any particular reason. It wasn't like I just didn't want to watch it. In fact, I think the first half hour of the movie is more interesting than the rest of it. But anyway, I guess what I was going to say overall is I ended up not really liking it a lot. And I had every reason to like it. And the reason why is the first 20 minutes of the movie was really interesting to me. And there's a lot of, I would say this, I'll just say it this way. This movie's very memorable. It's not necessarily very enjoyable.
yeah, I'd agree with that.
And I think that I'll leave it at that because otherwise I'm going to dive into it and woo.
I mean, there's not much I can. There's not much that I can say in.
Sorry.
And I don't know why you're laughing, but I love it. There's not much I can put into words for an intro, other than jumping into it. But I will say two things.
Well,
I will say,
jump into it. Intro, then jump into it.
Well, I'll say this. I got two movies confused. I was thinking, because I told you guys my ex really liked this movie, and then I turned it on. I'm like, oh yeah, this isn't it. She liked she liked the Rocky Mountain Horror, whatever, the horror movie. Rocky Mountain.
Whoa,
which in
that's
many
one hell
ways
of a
is very
mix-up.
similar.
Woo!
Psychedelics were huge in the 70s.
Yeah.
And I don't know. Oh yeah, that was probably the main thing. But my God, whoever chooses this movie,
My
it was
my
not
heart
a good
goes
movie.
out to him. Whoever chose
You know
this
who
one.
chose the movie?
I mean,
I don't remember who picked it, but
I know who chose. I don't know who picked it. But anyway,
before
Yeah.
we shit on Sterling too much for picking the movie, I want to say I didn't hate the movie. I didn't hate it. I didn't think it was an abomination. And this is a movie I would have watched and have wanted to watch whether Sterling picked it or not. Like, if he didn't pick it, I might have picked it eventually. So I'm glad we did watch it, and I'm glad this was... it's film history.
The only reason I picked it, the only reason I picked it is because I never have seen it, and I heard a lot of stories about it.
Mm-hmm.
So I was really interested in seeing
the one good reason. I mean, I'm on a totally opposite spectrum. Go ahead, Matt.
No, go ahead. I feel like you got something to say. Say it.
No. Well, okay, so let's jump into it, right?
Jump in.
Okay. I can't even. I'm like,
Cut it. Cut that out. Cut that out. I'm embarrassed.
Got it. Okay, so I don't think. Okay, we've been starting to watch a lot of movies, a lot of different kind of movies. I like that, and I've watched a lot of different kind of movies before. Not as many as I want, and this is why I love this.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think this is a good movie. And the reason I don't think it's a good movie. Get out there, Matt. Go, Matt. Go get out of the camera.
I don't know what happened.
You know what's so embarrassing?
I can't see Matt. I don't know what you're doing, Matt, but I can't see you.
No, it probably froze on me away. The thing that's embarrassing about that, Trey, was that you were like, Matt, get out of there. But I looked up at the screen to try to get out of the way, and Sterling was clearly just staring like, so, okay.
It was loading.
Sorry.
It was loading at me.
Okay, I thought that was a direct, like, attack on
I
what
didn't
you were
say
saying.
anything. I didn't say anything blasphemous.
No.
You know.
You're saying you've seen a lot of movies, or you're enjoying the movie
le-
experience.
Yes, I don't think this was a good film. I'm gonna be frank. I'm gonna be honest. I mean, I've seen some movies I didn't like, but can tell that they're good filmmaking. I didn't think this was good filmmaking. That's just my opinion. I will say this. This might be funny. This might be sad. It might be pathetic. As you guys know, I don't like insinuated or shown rape. All right, we're not getting. I don't like it. I almost turned it off. Other than that fact, a reason I didn't like that first part when they go to the house was they just stopped a raping and pillaging of that in that theater room, and then the next scene they go and do the same thing. Did not make any sense to me whatsoever.
I think that they just happened to stumble upon them when they were raping the girl. They were just trying to beat the shit out of those guys. I don't think they were trying to save her.
Same difference. It still showed them stopping something from happening, and then them going to doing something that they just stopped happening. And I did not like that. And once that happened, I was done with the movie. I watched the rest of it. I still don't understand the movie. Is it about mental patients? I have no idea. Is it about the institutionalization of crazy people in the prison system and trying to get the ones that don't deserve to be in prison out? I don't know. It just didn't. Nothing really made sense to me at all. I mean, come on. He rightfully gets his ass kicked for 30 minutes straight at the end or whatever.
Yeah.
And then we come to find out that that chick in the beginning died, and the guy figured it out because he's singing the same song he sang in the house. What an idiot. What can I say? This movie was just piss poor to me.
It was wild. Okay, I'll defend a little bit of this movie, which I honestly thought I was going to come in here raining on everyone's parade because I had a lot of negative things to say. But
I knew Trey wouldn't like the movie. Like, I knew it, but there was parts of it I didn't like either. Yeah,
well, and here's the thing I will say about the rape. When you talked about it, and then I knew that that's a big thing in this movie that people talk about as being really, like, fucked up. I think I expected, like, some really vicious, like, stuff. Like, I don't know why, but I actually thought we'd be seeing, like, I mean, I don't know if you could call it intercourse, but do you know what I mean? I thought we'd be seeing something. The 2 times at the beginning that someone is like, the girl is about to get raped, which was pretty horrible. That was hard to watch. And then the second time, the girl is also about to get raped, but it kind of cuts away both times. So I'm not saying it's not horrible still, but I think I had been in my mind, I was like really bracing myself. I'm like, what am I going to see? I'm really uncomfortable. And it always cut away. And I was a little bit relieved, like, oh, okay, it wasn't going to be as like horrible as I thought.
I see what you're saying. Like, I kind of have the same expectations, but honestly, the build up and the fact that it didn't show anything was still pretty bad. It felt kind of icky, like, to be honest.
I think we should name the title of this episode that. It was a little icky. The Clockwork Orange review. What do you think of Sterling? Do you have anything to say? Because I really have like I have a lot, and I feel like I'm gonna bust when I cut that out. Actually, that sounded wrong. Sorry, that sounded dirty. I mean, I just think like I actually I want to talk about the movie as a whole. Almost is my biggest complaint. So I don't want to suck all the air out of the room, but
yeah. Well, before I go into some of my negatives, there were parts of this movie that I did like. I wouldn't say enjoy, but there were some moments I did laugh. Like, I thought there were some pretty funny moments.
I laughed
especially
a lot,
huh?
I actually laughed a lot. Like, I actually just saw the movie as a comedy, almost like a black comedy.
Really dark comedy.
Yeah.
Well, especially like the prison section.
Yeah.
There was like so many moments in that whole thing. Especially the thing that made me laugh the most was the prison guards just like yelling everything and like just being so strict on like everything. You got to stand behind that white line.
Yeah.
You have to remember your number. Like,
there's something
for the rest
about
of the prison sentence.
something
Set
about
that down
guy.
correctly.
Yeah, something about that guy inspecting his butthole was. That really made me giggle. I don't know why.
Do you have it?
You got even
Do you have
hear
any infections? Something like that.
Yeah,
and there was
disease.
something kind of creepy or weird about the way Alex, like, he seemed so, like, he has that little shit-eating grin the whole time, and he just seemed almost too overzealous the whole time about everything, which was what was actually interesting. I actually say the thing to me, the saving grace of the film to me was Alex, when you could really see his personality, which was actually mostly the first half of the movie, was really just a really interesting character because he was a bit of an enigma. And obviously fucked up in the head in different ways, like his obsession with Beethoven and like his the way he talked, the language was so interesting that like that was the most that would keep me captivated. And I'm glad there was a narration in this movie because there were some times where I was starting to almost zone out. I'd be kind of like bored or the scenes were moving too slow. And his narration, he always said something funny, like. You know, interesting. The language was interesting.
Yeah, I think the actor's name is Norm Macdonald, if I'm not mistaken.
No,
great comedian. Great comedian.
I don't know why
McDowell.
I don't know why
Right?
I said Norm Macdonal. I'm sorry. What's his name?
Something McDowell. I think it might be like.
I cannot believe you said that.
I get it, but it's something McDowell.
It is McDowell.
Okay.
It is. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, Norm Macdonald did a great job in this movie.
It is Malcolm McDowell.
Okay. I've only ever seen him in Entourage and the Halloween movie by Rob Zombie. That's the only 2 things I've seen him in. But he did a really good job in this, and he definitely carried the movie.
100%. Yeah. It was really focused on him, mostly. I mean, it was kind of just really strictly following him. I actually don't know if we ever see anything that doesn't involve. Like now that I'm recollecting it, it's like, do we even see a scene in the movie that's not him? You know, he's not in. You know what I mean?
That's a good point.
I didn't think about that till now, but
anyway, Trey, I'm curious. Or Matt,
Yeah.
like, what do you have? What do you have to say? As far as,
Here's what it was to me was. By the way, I was reading some trivia on this. Apparently, the original cut of the movie was 4 hours long, and Stanley Kubrick had to like hire some extra editors to help get it down to like 2 hours. I think the thing for me was I was really holding on hope at the beginning of the movie because the setting was so interesting. I mean, really, that whole opening, it's in the... By the way, they don't explain this in the movie, but this is some stuff I was reading in the trivia. This movie is supposed to take place in the future. Now, it was 1968 or 1971 when the movie came out. So to them, I think the future... I think the only indication I have of what year it is when they're driving the car, he says it's a... so-and-so, a 95 so-and-so, which makes me think that the idea is that this movie's supposed to be like 30 years in the future of when it was made, which explains why there's the weird hairdos and all that. But the milk bar is so weird. They have the drugs put into them or whatever it is. The outfits, the gang violence. That stuff is such a good setup and is so interesting to me. I like the sci-fi-ish element. I like the weird gangs, like that, kind of when they're fighting the other guys and they're all like in like the weird like camouflage. It kind of reminded me of like the Warriors or something, where you have like the different gangs. I found. Go ahead.
No, it's the best scene in the movie. Was when they beat the shit out of those guys.
Yeah, that was cool. It was pretty crazy too. It was really rambunctious. It looked like a crazy bar fight, like they're throwing each other through windows and breaking chairs and shit. It was a little over the top.
They always had something in their hand to break.
Yeah, it was literally like let's film a bunch of action and we'll just cut out the best parts where people are getting chairs broken over them, and then they're just beating the shit out of them on the ground. Well, so I was gonna say the movie sets up, and I'm like, okay, where's this gonna go? And then right as it starts getting to a point where I'm like, okay, what's going on? Are they just going to keep harassing people? Like, is there anything going to happen? Like, is this it? That's when the guys betray him, bash him over the head with the milk. And he's like, I can't see, I'm blind. There's milk in my fucking eyes. I don't know if he says that, but anyway, then that's when...
Which, by the way, but it was awful what he did. But I did kind of laugh that he was using a giant penis to defend himself.
Oh, I wrote this down as a note. That would be the first ever visual representation of a dick butt.
What the hell?
Because the dick butt, which is a classic like internet meme thing, I'm like, might have been the origin of it. Was that little statue, the penis statue, which was... Everything about that scene was weird, by the way. They never acknowledged the...
They did. Why was it so important?
No, why was it so important? But also, the lady's just doing yoga. There's just cats everywhere. There's just a bunch of cats everywhere. The whole fucking scene.
She put herself in a full Nelson.
Yeah, that was so weird. Yeah, she put herself in the fucking Nelson. The cats, they're just cats. While he's attempting to... Well, I guess he doesn't rape her, but he's poking her with a giant penis. I mean, what's the difference? And and there's just cats crawling around.
Hey, be careful what you say. Be careful what you say, because the internet could take that the wrong way. Just be careful.
I know. I'm on your side.
I know.
Don't cancel me. Wait till I have a career and then cancel me.
Let me have it first.
But to finish the whole thing, the thing was they hit him over the head. I'm like, okay, now we have sort of a plot developing here. Is this going to be a revenge tale? What's going to happen? But also he goes to jail. So you're like, okay, this is something interesting. He's going to go to jail. Does he get out of jail? Is it his conflicts within jail? Then kind of stuff keeps happening and it's like, okay, all of a sudden the plot fizzles out a little bit. It's like, okay, what are we doing here? And then the treatment all of a sudden comes up and you're like, he's preaching or whatever. And the treatment, he's talking to the pastor. And I'm like, okay, now we're starting to get a plot again. There's a treatment. That's the new thing. He gets the treatment, which that ends up really being the kind of crux of the film is the treatment, I guess, is the kind of the main thing. If you were to describe the movie to someone, that would have to be in the description. But
that was definitely disturbing. Like
the eyes, yeah, that made my eyes twitch. I have a weird empathy, like eye sympathetic thing where like my eyes will like twitch and burn and shit. So that was like really making my eyes twitch. And then the thing that got me, that scene was horrifying, but when he's, you know, it was hard. It was pretty. That, like I said, this film's very memorable. There's a lot of scenes like that are just hard to get out of your head. But when he's screaming because they're playing his favorite symphony, and it looks like he's trying to close his eyes and his face is going.
Oh yeah.
Oh, that was hard to. I don't know why that was the most disturbing image to me. With like he's just screaming. That was brutal. But anyway, my overall point. I'll finish it out, and you guys can take over. But that happens, and then once again, okay, he gets the treatment. Things kind of fizzle out, and things happen. But I have no idea what's going to happen when he gets out of prison. And that's okay, but I can't even give you an idea of where the plot could go. And then it kind of goes into this weird area where he goes into the guy who's the wife he raped and all that. And I'm like, okay, this is weird. He jumps out of a window. And then I was looking at my watch going, I think there's only like 10 minutes left of this movie. And I was like, how are they going to pull this off? How are they going to pull off an ending to this movie that's like interesting? And I guess you have a little bit of a thing at the end where they imply that when he jumped out of the window, the sickness thing went away because they play the music and he doesn't get sick. And then he also visualizes the rape or whatever, or the sex in his head. So
that was the same song?
I think it was supposed to be. Christy, I think, said it was. But even so, he's visualizing the sex in his head and he doesn't get sick. So they imply that he's not sick.
Well, wasn't he trying to? He's holding back when he was twitching. He was like trying to hold himself from getting sick.
No, maybe? I think he. Oh, bless you.
Sorry.
I think he was kind of back to square one because if you noticed, he said the minister told him, "Am I clear?" And then he said the same two lines that he said to the guy earlier in the movie. Clear as an unmuddied lake.
Okay, I missed that because I thought there was something significant about the way he answered, but I didn't. I think I missed it the first time he said it, the exact words. Yeah. So I guess he's back to square one. Sorry, go ahead, Sterling.
Well, and then he said that I'm as clear as an azure blue sky in a summer day or something like that. So it was the same.
It was kind of repeating the same lines. Yeah. So I think you have that kind of happens, right? You kind of have that as the thing. But to me, I thought the film started confusing but strong as far as being like, as far as interesting. It's something to me, the movie, I think, increasingly, and like I said, I was really like rooting for it and I was really trying to like go, well, this was artistic, or, you know, I was really like trying to like almost manipulate myself to see this as like really enjoyable and really liking it. But by the end of the film, I just felt kind of disappointed, and like I just felt like, and I was trying to think, I don't think it's because there was a sort of an anticlimax, because I was thinking like, you know, me and Christy were just talking about like No Country for Old Men. That's a movie I really love, and it has an anticlimax to it. So there's a lot of great films that have those. So I think I still am going to have to think about it a little bit and try to figure out exactly what was disappointing to me. But yeah, my biggest thing was that I kept wanting to latch on to something. Oh, is he going to get revenge on the friends? Oh, does something go horribly wrong with the treatment where he ends up going even more psycho? But it kept being like, oh, something interesting, and then it would kind of fizzle out and like nothing would come of it.
Yeah. No, I kind of feel you on that. I think I kind of researched a little bit into the title because I was it's kind of confusing.
Clockwork Orange?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And so the movie's based off of a famous book.
Yeah.
And according to the author, basically A Clockwork Orange, it essentially means like a pleasant looking person, but controlled by an almighty force, like God or the devil. So that's kind of essentially what it means, which kind of fits Alex's character to a T.
Yeah.
To be honest, he's a pleasant person, they talk about how, he has a loving family. He's smart. So there's like nothing that should indicate that he should be messed up as a person.
Yeah.
There's something controlling him as if it's a clockwork.
Oh, that's really interesting. This is a movie where I actually thought I might be more interested. I feel like the book. I don't want to be this person. Haven't read the book. I'm not saying the book is better. I'm just saying this almost seems like a movie where watching it at certain times I was like, I wonder if this is something that it would be more enjoyable as a book. Like, because a lot of it I'm like, oh, I could actually see this working better as a book, as far as like pacing, because books and movies are so different on pacing. And that was one of my biggest problems in the movie was it was so slow. And I think sometimes unnecessarily slow. There were some shots like the opening shot. It's a very slow zoom out from Alex in the milk bar, right? That's slow, but it works really well. There's like really long scenes that look really interesting or cool, but there are some scenes where I just didn't understand why it needed to be as long. Like it wasn't. I mean, I can think of a good example off the top of my head was when he's in the bathtub, but when he starts singing the song "Singing in the Rain." I almost wanted to bring a timer out because I was kind of counting in my head, but from when it first shows him just laying in the bathtub, it's about I think it's got to be, I might be wrong here, but it was at least a minute, maybe a minute and a half before he even starts singing that song. And it was just like, okay, why did that shot need to be so long? Although, and I will say this too, most of my criticism of this movie, I think you could kind of get away with the movie being dated. And I know we've said it before and we'll say it again, it was the 70s, but there were a lot of things where like with cinematography and stuff that I could complain about, but it's almost like, well, that was probably groundbreaking at the time. Even the gratuitous stuff at the time, that was probably really interesting and edgy and new, that there was so many boobs. I mean, I've never seen so many boobs in a movie, to be honest. I'm not, I wrote it down.
Swing.
A lot of boobs.
Trey, what's your opinion on the boobs?
You gotta love them, baby. You can't get enough. You asked.
Somebody stop me.
All you can eat, baby.
I'm going to the milk bar, and I'm not talking about the little joint at the beginning.
That mechanism at the milk bar was hilarious.
That made me laugh out loud.
As
soon as I realized I realized that he was going to pull that lever, like when it connected with me that I knew what was going to happen, and all of a sudden milk just started spraying out of that titty, I was like, this is hilarious.
But did you guys not notice him apologizing? Oh, I'm sorry, love.
Yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah,
the fat kid. I will say this: talking about being slow. I remember like clicking the button to see how much time was left because I literally thought the movie was almost over, like maybe 30 minutes at most, right? Maybe 20 minutes. And it was only 47 minutes in. And I'm like, oh my God. And still had an hour and a half left. I'm like, you've got to be shitting me right now. Like I thought the movie, that's how slow and draining this movie was. But I do have two things to get off real quick. Just one. Two would be, who the hell was that weird guy that grabbed his dick with his hand, Alex's hand?
I think that was his lawyer. I could not figure that the fuck out until he's beat up and he's in the cell and the cops are there. When that guy shows up, his name was Deltoid. I think I wrote this down somewhere. I hated the way that, by the way, that scene, which was pretty funny when they put a hand down on him when they're talking on the bed. I couldn't stand the way that guy talked. It really fucking bugged me.
Yeah, he drinks
when he drinks the thing. That was really funny.
The dentures. Oh.
But I think it was his lawyer. That's the only thing I can think.
Yeah, I couldn't tell if he was a lawyer or if he was like a school official.
Or like
that's what I thought.
They always act like it's his doctor at first because he says he's sick.
Yeah, he could have been anything.
You want
to the thing about the society, and I kind of wish the movie could have maybe delved into more of like the dystopia of society, you know,
Yeah.
like more of the inner workings. But you know,
They
it's more,
they
it's more
don't.
psychological.
It doesn't even say in the movie anywhere that it takes place in the future.
Yeah.
It doesn't say that it's dystopian or anything. And it doesn't really show it other than a couple of scenes, but you could be like, okay, well, this is just some weird people in a bad neighborhood, especially if you're in America, because we could just be like, what the fuck are these Brits doing over there? You know? I was going to say about... I lost my train of thought.
Trey, you want to go for it?
Go for what?
Your second thought on the movie, or did you already give your second thought?
No, that was the other thing. Was I thought it was almost over.
Who's who?
Go ahead, Matt.
Who's who?
Matt.
You talked about the deltoid guy, and who the hell is he? I want to know who.
Yeah.
I want to know who Joe is, and what the hell was up with that.
Wait,
The
what?
scene with
So
the parent,
savage.
the scene with the parents when he comes back from the prison, and they're just like, "This is Joe. He lives in your room." Okay, I thought it was his brother.
Help.
I thought it was his brother or something. And then they were like, "That's just Joe. He's renting out your room." And he's like, "Yeah, I love these people like my parents." I'm like, "Who is this? Why we're acting like this is normal? This is so weird."
That was the funniest part of the
Yeah,
movie.
that was cracking me up because it was so weird. I could imagine like nowadays it'd be Will Ferrell playing that part or something.
They needed they needed help paying rent, so they brought someone else in.
It just fun. It just seemed funny because they were like this older couple, and they like have a roommate named Joe.
I love, like you just said, like they're like my parents. You're like a nobody to them.
Yeah. And then, by the way, speaking of Joe, the old guy who's in the wheelchair at the end, he just has this random like bodybuilder with him. He doesn't have a name.
Yes. He's working out.
He's just
while
there.
he's typing away.
I guess it's just like, I don't know who he is. He's just there. He helps carry his wheelchair and shit. I guess it's like his helper.
Like it was nothing. Do you remember that when he's eating at the table and he's
crazy.
carrying him down the stairs in a wheelchair? Like
the
it's
trivia
nothing? Like,
the trivia
what?
said that they got that shot in 7 takes or something, and I guess Kubrick is like notorious for like shooting things like over and over and over again until he gets it right. And they said that that actor, the bodybuilder guy, went up to Kubrick and said, "Hey, I don't want to strain any muscles like carrying him down the stairs too much. So can we get this in a few takes? I know you like to do long Kubrick shit," or something like that. And everyone apparently like froze up on the set because they know Kubrick is just known to be like super like meticulous asshole kind of guy. And apparently he just laughed and said, "We'll try to get it in a couple of shots." And then they did it in like a few shots.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean,
That's a strong man. Wow.
Yeah.
Kubrick himself is very. I mean, if you just study a little bit about him as a director, honestly, it's more interesting than this movie. To be honest, like his life's work as a director. It's pretty fascinating.
Doesn't he also like? Is this just a rumor? But I've heard that he like would just do math equations in his spare time for fun. Like he would do really complex math equations for fun. Is that a myth?
I mean, that sounds right. I haven't heard exactly that.
I know he plays chess. Like he's crazy good at chess, and he plays it with like a lot of the actors and stuff.
Yeah.
Let's get into Kubrick a little bit because I'd like to talk about this movie compared to other Kubrick films. I've not seen a lot of Kubrick films. I've seen Doctor Strangelove, 2001: A Space Odyssey, and The Shining. So, and this would be the 4th one I've seen. So,
I'm scared
this
to
is
pick,
bottom
to
of the
pick
list.
that. I'm scared to pick that now. I've always wanted to watch 2001.
Here's what I would say, Trey. And this is my whole thing about this movie. And I know I'm yapping and zapping and I'm interrupting Sterling and your friend's loving it. But now I don't know if anyone will get that reference because I don't know if that's going to be in the thing. But anyway, the fans know what I'm talking about. The thing to me with this movie was it's long and the pacing is long, and that's okay if what's happening is interesting. The problem is there's a lot of times in this movie where I wasn't interested, so the long pacing just felt boring. 2001 is very like slow. It's a very slow movie. I think it's been a couple years since I watched it, but it was very slow. But I like sci-fi, so I was very interested in it. And a lot of the stuff, like the deep meaning behind it and a lot of the things the characters say and stuff, was really interesting to me. So it works.
Have you seen it, Sterling?
Yeah, I think one thing. I think one
we
thing
can't,
too.
we can't watch them. Sorry, guys.
Well, I don't know about that, Trey. But one thing to add to that.
You can pick it. I don't know. Whatever.
Yeah, I mean, one thing to add to that though is that it's 2001: A Space Odyssey. The one thing that kind of intrigues you a lot more in that movie, even though it's longer than this one, is the visuals are so good. And it's from the 1960s. It blows your mind.
It's crazy. Yeah, that's true. I will say this: out of Kubrick films I've seen, The Shining has been the one that I've enjoyed the most. But I'm a horror fan, and I think what it was I hadn't watched The Shining until I think maybe just 2 or 3 years ago or something. And it's one of those movies that's a classic that everyone talks about. It's probably the most, as far as pop culture, it's probably the most popular Kubrick film, I'd say, as far as referencing and stuff. I mean, as far as being
like last week.
Yeah, exactly. So it's a popular movie in that regard. It's a classic horror film even. To me, I was like, oh, this is, one of those movies that's so people talk about how great it is. And then I watched it and I was like, oh, it actually really is that great. Like, I wasn't disappointed. It met it hit its expectation for me. Like, I really liked it. Clockwork Orange.
Even though Stephen King hates it. Does it make sense?
Yeah, well, yeah. Well, and I wonder, I'd like to read the book at some point because I wonder if the book's... Yeah. I think it's just that it wasn't a faithful adaptation to the book. But to me, an adaptation is, it's just that. You're adapting something. It's not supposed to be the exact same thing. And to me, it's like you could look at it as two separate things. Like, okay, you have The Shining, the Kubrick movie, and you could have The Shining, the book. But I really like that movie, and
so I would agree with you on that. And that's probably my favorite of the ones I've seen. And I think the reason why I would like The Shining a lot more than A Clockwork Orange is because I think The Shining has, not only is it more interesting, but I think all of the performances are so good.
Yeah.
The kid actor is really good.
Yeah.
Jack Nicholson, always a star.
And who's the woman in that movie? I always forget her name. Sherry something maybe.
Yeah.
Duvall. It's like Sherry Duvall, I think.
Yeah, she plays such a genuine. She plays such a genuine, terrified. Woman, like, so well. Now, part of that is because Stanley Kubrick really was pretty aggressive asshole towards her, and it got so bad that she basically ended her Hollywood career after that movie because of how abusive he was towards her. Now, it got a good performance, but
that's what it's all about, baby. The numbers, baby.
Yeah. Matt, you were going to say something about Dr. Strangelove.
Oh, I was just comparing those movies. I just feel like, to me, well, Dr. Strangelove is just straight up, pretty straightforward comedy. Or at least it's more apparent that it's a comedy. So, but here's the thing with all those other movies to me is they were very, everything as it's progressing, even when it's slow, they're interesting. I just had a problem with this movie where it kept making me lose interest because, and like I said, the best thing about the movie to me was Malcolm McDowell's performance, and his character was so interesting, and the language and the way he talked was so interesting. I felt like he talked less, and his personality was less out there by the last part of the movie. Now, that's by intention to a degree because he's supposed to be all reformed and stuff. But it's just it's like the one thing I was holding on to, which was this character being interesting. That started losing me near the end. So,
Well,
it might be a movie, by the way, that I'll appreciate more in the future if I just thought, maybe I'll think more about it. It's one that's in my memory. Like there's a lot about it that I will think about in the future. It's just it's almost like a one and done kind of watch movie for me,
Yeah, I think for me it's gonna.
I second that.
I think for me it's gonna be a while if I ever watch it again. I think I definitely felt at times that it was slow. I think I felt it less so than you guys overall. And I think the main thing that made me like this movie overall is and it's kind of weird, like I don't know, they got me to kind of feel bad for the main character, like near the end. Even though he did heinous, terrible things and he deserved all that suffering.
Yeah.
I don't know, just like him being rejected by his parents. And then him going to the bridge and seeing the homeless guy and then being beaten up by all those homeless people. And then he gets saved by the cops. Well, the cops are his old buddies that betrayed him. And then they go and beat the shit out of him, almost kill him. And then he goes to that house, and then he gets found out by the guy at the house that he was the one that came to rape his wife. And then he tries to kill himself. And I don't know, it just like maybe it was the performance. But I felt kind of bad for him, honestly.
I did too. Yeah, I was sympathetic. I think the homeless, just for some reason, a mob of homeless people come out of nowhere and start beating the shit out of him.
I was laughing the whole time.
Well, on the fact that at that time he couldn't like retaliate because he still had the side effect of being sick.
Well, and I think that leads into the kind of next subject, which is one of the other things. They really started laying on really heavy, even though it was only the last like half hour, although I guess it's a theme of the movie, is the whole almost the political thing of like, or the philosophical / political thing of because then they, the people who did the treatment start getting shit like, well, look what happened, he tried to kill himself. And that's an interesting thing because you actually go, well, wait a minute, it actually made me question. I'm like, they're doing a treatment, the treatment, it's not like bullshit. It's like it actually did do what it was supposed to do. Now, it had the weird side effect of the Beethoven thing, but, and that was kind of their fault because they said, fuck it, you deserve it or whatever. But they couldn't have anticipated that an old man was going to lock him in an attic and play it. You know what I mean? So in the end, I was almost like, yes, they're doing this experimental shit that's kind of fucked up, but I'm like, I had to question the idea of, well, if you could, there was a treatment like this and we knew it worked, maybe you could clear, it's like, I don't think it would be something you could use. It opened up the idea of like me wrestling the idea of like, well, is that something we should or could use on like really violent like killers and stuff? Because in the movie it worked. So then you go, okay, it worked. What's the problem? But I mean, it actually didn't work at the end, I guess, because something happened. But
well,
he fell off the roof.
Yeah, exactly. It was definitely kind of a moral gray area for sure, because as far as like crime statistics, it did lower crime, and that was like their main goal. But it took away a person's moral choice.
Yeah,
basically, he wasn't doing good things because out of some sense of self-righteousness,
Yeah.
He was doing it
because he couldn't.
He literally would be ill if he thought about doing horrible shit.
Yeah, I see what you mean, and I think that was one of the points, sort of like that the priest was making. But here's what I'm talking about. Okay, let's do it. Let's get into the fucking philosophical thing here.
Before that, speaking of the priest, I love the scene when he starts preaching to all the prisoners, and then someone burps and then someone farts, and then I don't know. That was a hilarious.
That was
scene
crazy, yeah. And the little guy the guy in the crowd going.
Well, they never fleshed that out later. Like
I know. I
that
thought
was
he was
weird.
gonna. I thought we were gonna have a
good
Shawshank
thing.
scene or something. You know.
Yeah, that's
Um,
exactly what I thought.
Good thing
But,
you didn't flesh it out. I didn't want to see any flesh from that guy.
Woo. Well, that's kind of what I meant, by the way. He goes into prison, then I'm like, oh, are we going to get like a Shawshank Redemption type thing where he escapes the prison, or does he get into a prison fight? There was all these things that I'm like, well, this would be interesting, and it didn't happen. Oh, this would be interesting, it doesn't happen.
Wasn't it weird that when the priest was talking to the crowd, like, why are they all dressed up nice? Isn't this a prison? So at first I'm like, they're not prisoners, and then they show
I think it's like
the main actor in his suit and sitting there, the projector. I'm like, what kind of prison is this?
well, it's
Gives them,
Britain,
nice suits
so it might
to
be
wear,
different. But also, they almost made it
weird.
seem like a military type prison. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like the way they talked and stuff.
It was basically Scientology, to be honest.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, Tom Cruise.
Yeah. What? Okay. You were gonna talk about philosophy
Yeah.
or something.
Oh well, I was just gonna say, I think where I think this type of experimentation could work and stuff would be like pedophiles, for instance. And the reason I bring that up is because they have like this biological proclivity towards being attracted to children, right? So wouldn't this be? But then that's
Cost 2
dicey.
cents.
It's dicey territory.
Costs 2-3 cents. That's all it takes.
Is that how much it is to slice his wiener off?
I mean, you know what? That might be actually probably better because of it's torturing them.
We're having hot dogs tonight, boys.
Yeah, slicing their dicks off better than shooting them in the head. I mean, they deserve both. So whatever.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, I do have Matt's nitpicks.
Yeah.
I don't really, but because I already said.
Wait, what?
The one guy's voice was really annoying. By the way, I just gotta say this. This is not nitpicks. This is just me commenting on weird stuff in the movie. The furniture in the future looks fucking terrible. And not just looks. You know when they first go to the house, the dude's house where they kill his wife or whatever and make him watch? It does that shot, and it's a repeating shot they do later where it's on him, he's at the typewriter, and then it pans over. And first it's his wife, and then the second time it's like that burly guy, dude lifted weights.
Where was she sitting?
She was
Where
sitting in that
sitting?
weird egg, and like the hood of it is like bumping her head and shit. It looks like the most uncomfortable thing I've ever seen. I was like, that looks so uncomfortable. The furniture looked bad. Here's the biggest thing. I think this is the biggest nitpick in the movie. How old do you guys think that the main character is supposed to be? And I do have an answer.
I assume
17.
high school. Yeah, 17.
Oh, well, there goes my fucking thing. No,
What?
he's supposed to be like, in the book, I guess he's 15, and after the 2 years in prison, he's 17. But yeah, he's supposed to be like a teenager in the movie. But Malcolm McDowell's like 27 when he played the character.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Now, I think he can play a 17-year-old. There's certain parts. But that first part of the movie, these guys just seem like young adults. And it's really hard with the activities and stuff they're doing. It's just really hard to see it as a kid. But if you could see it as a kid, I wonder if you would think of the character slightly differently. But in my head, I just kept seeing him as an adult male, like a grown man.
Yeah.
So it was an interesting thing to me, like the character, because that's something in they make jokes in like Scary Movie and stuff where like a lot of horror movies or like One Tree Hill or those types of shows, it's always like 30-year-old actors playing teenagers. This is a Oscar nominated, Academy Award winning film where they do this thing where they cast like a 30-year-old guy who's supposed to be a teenager. It was just kind of weird.
Please tell me that's false. Please tell me that's a lie.
What?
Oh my god.
The
I
what?
don't
Just
know
really
why.
weird.
No, I'm not even.
Oscars?
I wasn't doing a gag. It didn't win an Oscar. I think it was nominated.
Oh,
Let's
well, that's
see.
even still. Anyway.
I did notice some of the some Easter eggs.
I
I noticed
know.
the 2001. 2001 Space Odyssey vinyl record, I think.
I did see that.
Yeah, I saw that. 2001. Yeah, I thought that was cool.
And then part of the theme had some notes from the Shining theme, I noticed.
Oh,
Yeah.
that is interesting. By the way, that scene when he's in the record store, just being a total douche, and he just walks up to those ladies. What's up with the penis pops in the future, by the way? What's going on here?
Yeah.
And then one's droopy. One of them is like a droopy penis for some reason.
What happened to yours, love? Like, what?
Honestly,
What a weird scene.
yeah, the obsession with dicks, like in this whole culture, it kind of like reminded me of like Greek culture.
Yeah.
Like,
Well, they showed that. Yeah.
I was trying to figure out if that was supposed to be really intentional with a lot of the gratuitous stuff, if they were trying to make some point, because every time there was a poster, I mean, that was the other one, in the Catwoman with the cats and the yoga. It's like these posters on the wall, and then in his room, and it's like, at first you think it's just, this is a weird place, and then it's like almost every time they show any artwork, it's like women just like spreading their cheeks and stuff. I'm like, gee whiz.
Yeah. And
I'm just a
what
little Christian boy.
bad softcore scene that was. Like, they didn't even try to make it look like they were doing anything. Like,
what, the montage?
like they're going like real fast. Like
The fast forward, yeah.
I did like.
That was weird.
I did think it was funny that like one would get dressed and he would finish and go grab her and undress her. And
Yeah, that was weird. That whole thing was so bizarre. By the way, apparently, I think I saw this in the trivia. I might be wrong, but I thought that it said that scene was not fast forwarded in the original cut, and it's like 40 minutes long. But that could just be someone taking something out of context, like, well, that was before they edited it or something.
Say that again.
That whole sex scene was really long, and that it was actually in the original cut, and it wasn't fast forwarded.
No way.
I don't know. By the way, this is for Trey's sake. Academy Awards 1972. This Clockwork Orange was nominated for Best Picture, Best Director, Best Writing, Screenplay based on material from another medium, and Best Film Editing. It was nominated for 4 Oscars. And then
They need to be fired.
it was nominated at the Golden Globes for Best Picture, Best Director, Best Actor. Nominated at the BAFTAs for like 8 awards. I don't even want to read all of them.
Shame on them. Shame on them all.
Well, that's the thing, is I think my pretentious dirt bag mind, I saw all this stuff like, this is a classic film. Heath Ledger watched it over and over again when he was playing the Joker. I wanted to, apparently he watched it in his trailer on repeat or something. But now I understand why the bastard killed himself, because I was halfway, because I was
yeah. R.I.P. baby. Oh my God.
I was so sorry.
Oh, that was great. That was great.
R.I.P. I'm sorry. I couldn't help it. It's getting late. Woo,
That was funny.
I had a little bit too much Milk Plus, But
That was great.
No, but I did lean over during the movie. Me and Christy were watching it, and I was like, when he jumps out of the window. And I was like, I've never envied him so much. I've never wanted to be him more than now. No, that was the dip in the movie to me. That point in the movie was where I was really like, I also got to say, another bias I had was that I started getting really tired. And this is not the film you want to watch when you're tired, because whether it's interesting or not, the pacing's so slow and the music and everything that it was making me fall asleep.
I feel you.
Yeah.
Well, somehow I just looked down and we actually have been talking for an hour about Clockwork Orange, which I didn't think we could do it.
I mean, either. I'll go first. I'll make it quick. I'll make it easy. My God, I would not recommend this to my worst enemy. I'm sorry. This would be real torture, like in the movie. It's you have the choice to close your eyes, but my God, even just turning it on with the red screen, like, oh my God, what the hell's going on? And the stupid music. Please, people, peeps, fans, do not watch this movie. I highly Disregard, abort. Do not watch. Do not watch. Matt, I know you're gonna say something. It's all yours.
Just shake and bake a little here. I don't know what that means. I got Step Brothers on the mind, but
No. That was Talladega Nights. You nimwit.
I'm getting loopy, dude. No, maybe in the future I'll think more about this movie and I'll watch it again and I'll notice things I didn't notice before. I think though that the movie is dated. And what I mean by that is that I think a lot of if I watched this movie in 1971, I probably would have been really blown away by it in different ways. I would have thought that, like, this is crazy. We've never seen something like this. The gratuitous violence is crazy. I haven't seen this before. You know, the pacing, the titties, everything. So I think that a lot of the things I would say against it, you know, it's a product of its time. So I think that would be its best defense. And you know, like I said, maybe I'm missing it. Maybe the movie is more more deeper than I thought it was, or something. But you know what? It just wasn't my cup of tea, and I wanted it to be too. That's why I don't think I'm biased or anything with this movie. I wanted it to be good. I was going in hoping it was good, and not even like high expectations. It was just the movie itself was getting me really interested at the beginning. It was like I felt like I got a little bit like bait and switched or something. Like by the end of it, I was like, "What did I?"
Juked.
Yeah, I got juked a little. But you know, it was worth watching. I think it's one of those movies I'm glad I watched it once because I think it's a movie that's influenced a lot of cinema and stuff, and so it's worth watching. I think once. Sterling,
it's only worth it because you don't have to watch it again. Jesus.
Sterling, take us home. Country roads, baby.
So I think this movie is perfect for a film study college course. And I think there's a lot that you can learn about films like this, especially being that they're a product of their time. And overall, I liked it. There were things about it, as far as pacing, in some instances, some really kind of weird choices that kind of threw me off from loving it overall. And so I don't think, as far as like casual movie fans goes, I would not recommend it to them. But if you are serious about filmmaking, I definitely think watching something like this could be very beneficial, at least to learn some things about on how the story was told, some of the editing choices, the cinematography. I think some of the kind of the moral questions in the movie were interesting. I wish it would have gone into it a little bit further. I wish it would have gone a little bit more into the dystopian background. Kind of felt a little lacking in that area. But I think the performance of Malcolm McDowell is pretty strong. And I think the fact that I felt bad for him, even after all the terrible shit he did, I think is a testament to how, maybe not how good the movie is, but there is a lot of talent behind this movie. And so that carried me to liking it just a little bit more than both of you. So yeah, I enjoyed it for what it was.
It was the 70s.
You enjoyed it for what it was, a piece of shit movie.
No. Anyway, no. We got a couple new subscribers and stuff. So seriously, thanks for subscribing. We're doing a bunch of different movies. We're doing all kinds of wacky stuff. It's a little darker this week. We're looking into the criminal mind. Next week we might be watching Powerpuff Girls the movie. That's what this channel's all about, baby. And I did want to read comment of the week. This is from David Pantsaver. He said, no. I don't. So that was the comment of the week, guys. Leave comments and we'll read them off on the air. And thank you, David Pantsaver. That was insightful to say the least.
God.
So Trey, do you want to send us off?
I mean, I want to say one thing before. You said, "Hey, we pick a movie every week. It's only gonna take you one guess who picked this one." Anyway, like, subscribe. We love you. Keep on commenting. Keep on subscribing. Keep on liking. We see you later next week.
With your best friends Trey, Sterling, and Matt, the Film Schmucks.